wanted to do a living room refresh. This is the first space I'm tackling in the new year to just kind of like breathe new life into my home. It always starts to feel stagnant and congested in here, like especially after the holidays. You know, you just want to like move things around and get things out of your house. I think it's like a precursor to spring cleaning. I don't know if precursor is the right word. I love homes and spaces that look like this, but unfortunately, I only have the capacity to maintain a home that looks like this. I try to live somewhere in the middle because living in a home that looks like the first set of photos would actually ignite my anxiety and I wouldn't be able to maintain that. Yet living in the other set of photos would make me very sad and probably depressed and genuinely unhappy. Part of finding this balance is monitoring my purchases, decluttering, and constantly reassessing how I'm using my space. I'm starting with the baby toys that we keep in the living room. The funny thing is we bought this IKEA footstool specifically to store baby toys in the living room and it's just not working out. We love the footstool, but having to open this heavy lid every time I need to get out a toy or a book for the baby is just unrealistic. I'm moving them to open storage so that he can just grab what he wants whenever he wants and I don't have to lift the lid as many times a day as I already am doing. I don't know why I didn't think much would change in my house when I had a baby. I didn't think him learning how to be mobile would really make a difference. I thought everything was already safe and baby proofed, but I was so wrong. I was keeping blankets in a basket by the couch, but I'm gonna put the blankets now in the footstool and use the basket for toys. I recently parted with a side table I had that was so special to me. I had gotten it like maybe 6 years ago when one of my neighbors was moving and they put a bunch of free stuff out on the street. It was a vintage 1950s briefcase with just like table legs screwed onto it to make a little side table. But since it was like a DIY project from whoever made it, it was so unstable. And now that my baby learned to pull up on things, it was just dangerous to have around. At first, I thought there's no way I'm getting rid of this. Like, I love this. Like, I'll make a way for this to stay while keeping a safe space for the baby to crawl around. But ultimately, I realized that I'd honestly feel better with it just out of the house. It gave me more mental peace to know that I could just let him roam freely and not get into any danger than to have to constantly be guarding it and making sure that he's not getting to it. I did keep the briefcase portion of it. I just unscrewed the legs and got rid of those. So I do have the vintage briefcase still. I couldn't have parted with that. Decluttering fabric and sewing supplies is so hard because it's almost like giving up on a dream. Like, this stuff is useful, and if I had unlimited free time, I could probably get to all of it, but I'm trying to be realistic about my belongings and not fantasize about things I probably won't have time to do. Honestly, when I open this trunk and see the mess and all the stuff, it discourages me from actually working on projects that I do have time to do. If I want to actually do my hobbies, I need to not feel stressed out when I open this and see the things. I want to feel inspired and see what I have. Instead, when I open it and I see the mess, I am discouraged from starting a project because in my head, it's just gonna double the mess. It's always messy doing a project. Well, it's messy for me. I'm sure other people are able to do a craft or a project and keep it under control. My whole house explodes when I'm doing a project. So I'm trying to reframe it as, instead of getting rid of something that I could have used and feeling like I'm getting rid of a dream, instead I'm making space for all my materials to inspire me to actually do my hobby and actually create things again. It's so hard though, because fabric is kind of like, you get emotionally attached to it. Okay, I don't know, maybe that's just if you sew, maybe you can relate to that. But everything's just so unique, and I've thrifted most of my fabric, so like if I get rid of it, I'll probably never come by it again unless I go back and re-thrift it. I've also been keeping my workout equipment in here, and honestly, like this steamer trunk is more utilized to something that I don't need to do every day. Like sewing, I don't do every day, whereas I want to be working out every day. And I am the type of person who can talk myself out of anything. And if I have to think about undoing the latches on the steamer trunk, my brain will just make me not do it. It's not worth it to get out the exercise equipment. I know that sounds ridiculous, okay? It's just something really annoying about me. So I'm gonna move the workout equipment to a different spot.
This is hard.
This was probably one of the most frustrating things to declutter. I had already decluttered so much fabric like last spring, and I still had so much, but I pared it down. Here we've got the fabric that I'm gonna keep, scraps that I probably don't need but I feel like keeping, my embroidery stuff, some faux fur to use in projects, sewing machine. In this red bag are abandoned projects that I do intend on finishing, so they're like partway done, but I didn't want to like give up completely on them. So we've got all our abandoned projects in here, and then I've got my sewing box. That's as organized as it's gonna get. The workout stuff that was in here, I'm gonna look for a new home for it because I don't open this. It's not that it's hard to open, it's just that it's a process. It discourages me from even working out if I think about having to undo these straps every single time. So I'm gonna look for a new home for the workout stuff. I'm wondering if I should put my workout stuff in the ottoman. Like, the whole reason for me moving the toys from here was because it's really heavy to lift the lid on this. But it's different when you're opening it like 7 times in a row to get something out of it versus opening it once a day to get my workout stuff out of. And since there's less stuff in here than there is in the steamer trunk, I think I'm gonna move my workout stuff in here because it's also just way easier to access than with all the sewing stuff in the steamer trunk. I can't decide if I should get rid of my exercise ball. I barely use it. You know what? I'm just gonna get rid of it. I barely use it. The only time I ever used it was when I was heavily pregnant and I was just sitting on the ball. But then when I was actually in labor, it was so painful to sit on this. Everyone recommended it and it was so painful. I don't see myself using it again in the next pregnancy. So I think I'm actually just gonna declutter it. Okay, now we're done. I'm keeping the thing to blow up the exercise ball just because we use that for other things like balloons and stuff. Maybe I'll relocate it since it has nothing to do with exercising anymore. So this is everything we're getting rid of. Fabric to donate, scraps to recycle, exercise ball, an abandoned project. I didn't declutter much in this video, which is crazy because I love to get rid of things. I'm replacing the art in this frame with a Muka print that I've been dying to use. And it's just finally time to get around to adding new art to that frame. I know I'm supposed to be decluttering, but I couldn't resist and I had to get new plants. And this is the only type of plant I can keep alive. It's a pothos. But I did just find out that they're toxic to humans if you ingest them, and probably to animals, which, like, obviously I'm not gonna eat it, but I have a little baby who crawls around, so now I'm really more careful with my plants now. You'll probably notice that it took me several days to do this entire living room, as you can tell by the outfit changes. It's really the only practical way that I can commit to a project. I dedicated about 15 minutes a day to doing a different part of the living room. In reality, if I had like a solid hour or two where I could have just worked on the living room, I could have gotten it done in one day. But I couldn't just wait around for a time where I would have free time, and I had to just commit to doing 15 minutes a day. I didn't declutter my bookcase or my bar cart because I already know the inventory of those spaces and I don't want to get rid of anything in there. I know there wasn't a lot decluttered in this video actually, but that's because my living room's kind of like perfectly curated. A lot of clutter doesn't actually build up here. I mean, it can, but like not that much. I plan on making this a series, and the other rooms that I plan on tackling, I know for a fact there's stuff I need to get rid of in there. Throughout these videos, the stuff I declutter will ramp up. Don't worry if that's what you came here for, and I did deliver, okay? Also, this video is different from my previous ones because I don't know, it's like a little vulnerable to show your messes in your house and stuff, and like my previous videos have been kind of like aesthetic and romanticization. I can't say that word. Okay, I'm not even gonna try, of like daily life, you know what I mean? And now that I'm a mom, I don't really have time for a lot of things like that anymore, so I want to keep making videos, but I want it to be things that are my daily life instead of just I can't bake a treat I can every week, right? But I'll probably be in my sweats, you know? In the meantime, as I'm slowly getting my footing in motherhood, I wanted to film just like things that are actually happening in my life, which does include baking still. I can still flap a loaf of bread in the oven. So we'll see what happens with this channel. Thank you for watching. See you next time.